Hello friends and welcome back to my channel, Thrifty Day. My name is Leah. I'm the creator behind Thrifty Day, and on today's episode I am going to be doing a flip through of my brand new personal junk journal. This is such an exciting time for me. I love starting in a new journal. It's a breath of fresh air, a brand new perspective, so I can't wait to share it with you. Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's episode I'm going to be doing a flip through of my new personal journal. If you were looking for a tutorial to make a journal in this style, please head over to my Patreon. I did a whole series a couple months ago and it went through the whole month about creating a journal in this style. We did everything completely from the ground up, cover to cover, including the pages. So if you were interested in that sort of tutorial, please head over to my Patreon and all of that information is linked below. So I'm going to just do a flip through. I love how this journal came out. I do have a flip through of my completed journal since this is my new journal, and that's coming very soon. So I thought I would post this one first though, just so I can get started, because I do want to start filming some layout process videos for you as well. So let's get into this one. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with showing you what I put on my removable journal charm this month, or well, this time, not this month, because it's really fun. I put a lot of really sweet little pieces on here. I found this little vintage sewing machine at an estate sale this past week with my daughter, and so it was perfect timing. I just added it right on there. It's metal. This is just a broken piece of jewelry I found and thrifted. This is a piece of vintage jewelry. It's like a brooch, and that's also thrifted. And a little owl. I just love owls. Whenever I see owls, I collect them, I buy them, I love them. This is a piece of broken vintage jewelry, but I sort of really love the way it looks. It's like just a little sweet vintage dangle. I found this vintage safety pin at the same time that I found the little sewing machine, so I just decided to put it on here because I thought it was really sweet. And then this is a vintage key that I found at a yard sale several months ago. And then this is a little hanger. It's like a little dollhouse hanger. And the reason I'm putting it on here right now is this journal was very influenced by what I'm doing on Patreon right now for this month, the month of March. There's a big emphasis on vintage patterns and doll clothes fabric and doll clothes, paper dolls. And then I also have like fabric elements, and I use these little hangers. So I just wanted to put one on my journal to sort of commemorate this month because it's been really fun for me. And so that is my journal charm. I really, really love it. I had a lot of fun making it. My last journal didn't have a journal charm. And so I think this month I really sort of just wanted to make up for it. So all of my journal charms are removable because I don't love working with a big chunky charm when I'm doing my layouts, but I do love the look of it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me. Okay, so let's put that down, and now we will get into the actual journal. I did make this journal completely from the ground up, painted, put the book together, the spine, the whole thing. So I love the way it came out. I have lots of room to grow. As you can see, it doesn't look like it's very full, but this will grow to be very large. I love the color. It's unlike any color I've ever had for a personal journal. So that was another kind of really neat part of this journal for me. And I added this little vintage sun right to the top and this sweet little doll onto the spine. It has 4 signatures, and this is actually a vintage book page from a book that I made into a journal actually because it was falling apart. I believe it's called Mupsy Goes to Kindergarten. I believe that's it, but it's a very vintage book that I found at an old bookstore in Uptown Whittier. So I did a very detailed flip through where I talked about all the paint that I used, all the images that I used, all the paper pads and vintage paper products that I use, and that's over on Patreon. So if you wanted a really like deep dig into this journal, do subscribe to my Patreon. It's linked all down below. So now that I've shown you all of that, I'm going to go ahead and do a simple flip through because I'm so happy with it. This is, just to jump right out of the gate, a vintage linen printable. It's from Durrans. She is a beautiful junk journaler here on YouTube. She's also on TikTok and Instagram, and she has an Etsy shop where I purchase these digital download. So I will be sure to link her information down below because I've been loving working with those downloads, and you will also see more throughout my journal. So that's Emma Durrans. This is from a vintage book. I just love the little image of the girl. How sweet is that? And now I will likely not do much to this, or maybe I'll just cover the words with like a photo or something, but I love this image. I just think it's really sweet. And the little hats, I have a thing for hats. I used a lot of floral print paper in this journal. And this is some vintage sheet music from like a children's learn to play book. And this is vintage ledger paper, well, grid paper actually, but it's from a whole bunch of vintage ledger and things like that that I have. And this is vintage advertising. I picked this one specifically because I love vintage keys and locks. So I picked that one specifically for my journal. This is another one of those linen printables. Now I will probably just journal over it, but because I don't like having a bunch of blank space, I love to be inspired. I just went ahead and put them on a lot of my pages. And I just sort of love the way it looks, so I will probably just journal over it. Who knows? I guess we'll kind of have to wait and see. And this is from one of my favorite books. It's the Little Golden Dictionary. It's like a huge book though. And I just love the illustrations in this book. So you're gonna see it a lot throughout this journal because I absolutely love it. Look at the little elephants and the toys. And I'm so sorry if you could hear my dog jumping all around behind me. This is more vintage ledger paper. This is probably my favorite print of the double-sided cardstock that I used. I love the front and the back, these little tiny flowers. I use coffee dyed paper. I do have a tutorial for coffee dyed or tea dyed or fabric dyed paper, and you can find that over on TikTok. I'll also link my TikTok down below. I love this paper as well. It reminds me a little bit of Bob Baker, the Bob Baker Marionette Theater in LA, so I was excited to use it. And there's more of that paper. I just love the way that looks. I always just journal right over it, but it is something I really appreciate looking at when my journal is brand new. And here's another one of those dictionary, little golden dictionary pages. Super sweet. The trees. I loved the little food with the apple tab next to it. All of my tabs are either vintage or vintage fabric or handmade. And I love them. I have a vintage tab, not vintage, fabric tab tutorial over on TikTok. You can find it over there. So again, link below. This beautiful printable digital linen, loved that. And now just lots of the same things. I like to add a lot of colors, and I love to add anything with dogs. If you know me, you know I work in dog rescue. I love anything with dogs, anything. So I was really excited. Anytime I find dogs, I almost always will save it and put it to the side, and it will be something that makes it into my personal journal, whether it's a journal I'm making or if it's my journaling process. It almost always will make it into my journal. So look at this really sweet vintage book page. This is from a highlights book that I found recently at an estate sale, the same one I found that little sewing machine at. And so I was excited to use it in my journal. More of that really pretty paper. I love double-sided printed cardstock. And I think I got that at Joann's. I know I got that at Joann's actually. Another one of those really pretty printables. And see, this tab is not trim at all. It is fabric that I stiffened and turned into a tab. It is vintage fabric, but I love that. It's one of my favorites. More of that really pretty paper, more of that children's book sheet music, really sweet illustrations. That dictionary I just can't get enough of. And this is another thing I'll often do in my own personal journals. When the books are really damaged and I think the pages aren't kind of like high enough quality to go into the journals that I sell in my Etsy shop, I put them in my own journal. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but this page is very ripped and has seen better days. So I just put it in my own journal because I don't often waste anything. And there is another dog. You will find dogs throughout my journals. And I also love little birds, so that was really sweet. Vintage advertising, that old-fashioned phone. My grandma had a replica phone like this in her house, and I wish I still had it because it was something I really loved looking at. This is a cover from some of that vintage ledger paper that I have. I had a huge score at an estate sale, I think sometime last year, and they must have owned a small business because they had tons and tons of vintage ledger paper. All of it was old new stock, still packaged, still in boxes, and I bought all of it and I use it in all my journals. And this was one that I had used all of the paper out of, but so it was just the cover left. So I decided to just pop the cover into my journal. And this is a real vintage linen, not a printable, it's real, that I also got in an estate sale. So I guess the moral of the story here, oh, I haven't sealed that pocket. I made a little pocket, is to make sure that you are going to estate sales. And when you see something you like, buy it, because you can continue to use it even if it's a lot. So it's another little pocket that I have not yet sealed. But look at how cute those little houses are. So sweet. And I love this paper. Yeah, so now it's just a lot of the same stuff, those sweet little birds. I had so much fun making my own personal journal. Here's another dog. I'm telling you, every dog makes it into this, into my journaling process somehow. These are pocket watches, more vintage ledger. I really love this double-sided paper cardstock too. More vintage sheet music, another one of those printables. And this particular page I love because it has a lion and a dog. And my big old 16-year-old 100-pound dog Barley, to me, has always looked a little bit like a lion. We even bought him a lion mane once and put it on him. He looks just like a lion. So that one's really sweet. And I promise you, I probably won't cover that up. But we'll see. We'll see as I get more into my journaling process what happens. That's really sweet. A little apple. I love this little vintage tab. It has a drum and instruments. And but that's about it. I made this journal for myself. There's another dog. 4 signatures, and I'm hoping I can keep it to be not too crazy thick. I want to make sure that I keep it looking like a book. My last journal got really, really big, and although I love it, I think I need to be careful because I need to remember I still need to store these somewhere in my house. And right now I have them all on shelves, so I'm going to need to redo that because I'm already out of space on that shelf. So I guess maybe I can take you along on that process as I reset up how I display my completed journals. So if you're interested in a YouTube like that, let me know in the comments below if you want to see how I store my complete journals and so that I can enjoy them. I don't like just having them in a box. I like having them out so that everyone can see. So if you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. I had a wonderful time making this journal. And again, if you are looking for this complete process in a very methodical sort of step-by-step tutorial, please head over to my Patreon. It starts at just $5 and every single tier does get Happy Mail from me. And for the month of March, we have a really wonderful, fun theme, and I think you'll like it. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear your comments. Please like this video. It helps my channel, and I'd be ever so grateful. So have a really great day, and thank you so much for watching.